Greetings, this is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel Truth, and I wanted to show you the Tesla Cybertruck that I ordered yesterday, and I wanted to go over a few things with that. I've added quite a bit of actual the Tesla YouTube channel videos, as well as thousands of other videos on my channel that cover a wide variety of topics. And there's quite an interesting dynamic going on here with all of this. As I look at the Cybertruck, when I saw it the first time, I thought, wow, I would love for that to be the new Truthmobile. So I actually yesterday ordered the tri-motor, all-wheel drive, autonomous navigating, driving Cybertruck. And it's got a 500-mile range and an adequate supercharger network to travel all over the North America pretty much without any problem at all. It's a spectacular utility vehicle. I've got a lot of ideas of people who I want to share my referral code with, including the Great Lakes Dock and Dredge, who did the beach renourishment here. They use bulldozers on the beach to move around sand that's pumped up, millions and millions of gallons of salt water and sand that's pumped up on the beach. A stainless utility truck like this that can have a welder in the back and move equipment around is perfect. So what I ended up doing here too is, because I actually ordered the truck, I get a referral code. Anybody who orders a Tesla like this will get a referral code, so I can share that with people. And then the way that works out is that there's benefits for people that share that code and have sufficient referrals. And there's quite a bit that goes along with that. So you can save money with referrals there if you want to use my code, or maybe you want to get one yourself. A couple of things that I wanted to mention here too is because of this activity that I've been doing, I've been curious all my life, and I want to know how things work. And when the electrification of the automotive industry was basically crushed, literally, the EV1s got crushed, and it was a General Motors electric vehicle, and it was sad to see that happen. So for a long time, I've wanted to know why things work the way that they work. And a lot of time there's corporate interests that are self-serving, and they have a desire to eliminate competition. Capitalism, however, it gets more complicated when the system of control basically controls the availability of money, the distribution of information, public perception, and the supercomputers that are basically programming humanity largely to believe what the system wants. Now, as powerful as artificial intelligence is, I still believe God is the creator of this world, is all-powerful and all-knowing. So omniscience is the reality and the capacity to know everything, which surpasses artificial intelligence. Another dynamic too is that because God, the creator of this world, is all-powerful, he can choreograph what other people do serendipitously to work out his plan. He's sovereign and he's in charge, large and in charge. So I've been talking about this for a long time, and even though I'm interacting with people on a variety of different levels, as I'm sure you're aware, it can get very complicated indeed. So I have made a lot of information available through my social media presence. Of course, there's the current Truthmobile, the 1994 Lexus LS400, and it's got about 250,000 miles on it, and it started to smoke at startup, like valve guide leaks, that type of thing. That's Dean Martin. He's a character. He's one of our naked kitties. So, yeah, they're all about it too. Kind of interesting. He's pretty interested in what's going on here as well. Cats are curious, no doubt. So, in the context of what I would refer to as the truth movement, I've been given a passion, purpose, and an eternal perspective to share what I believe the reality is with the world that we live in, about the world that we live in, how things work as best I'm able to determine. I'm going to take us for a little walk here and just show you one of the awesome resources that we have. This is my YouTube channel right here. And on this particular video, it's from all over the world. It's Timestorm Video that has created some beautiful time-lapse videography. And there's Smeagol. Smeagol really likes it. This is an oak pool table here. It's beautiful. I resurfaced it and all of that. He's being a little shy. Kind of looks like Mr. Bigglesworth on Austin Powers. But they're funny. They're interesting animals. Anyway, I wanted to show you some of just the beauty. There's energy in the atmosphere, the aurora borealis that we're looking at there. So one of the questions I have for Elon and JB Straubel and Franz and the rest of the design team, is it an urban legend or a reality that a Tesla electric vehicle with the proper system could actually charge the batteries with the aurora borealis and the other energy that's all around us? Could lightning storms charge the lithium packs, the power pack, like in Australia, the largest lithium-ion battery in the world? Could a lightning strike charge that up? Could a system be designed, could a household be designed that could actually take a lightning strike and store that energy? As I was a young boy growing up in Wisconsin, this is Germany right now. It's gorgeous. Martin Heck is the videographer that does this, Timestorm Films. And so we're looking at some of the aspects of the world that we live in, the atmosphere, the condensation and precipitation, the thermal mass of the mountains and temperature differentials actually creates the storm systems. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love to have it on as a way of, seeing the creation in places I can't afford to travel to. And so that's, the mirrors are an important aspect. As water reflects a man's face, God's word reflects the man. I'm a biblical creationist, and the Bible says that the earth doesn't move and that the sun, moon, and stars do. Okay, so I have concerns for how things actually work. For example, I can't just run around handing out business cards in a commercial business, but I can wear a shirt that has that information on it, the information of my channel. So that's what I do. In the household, I like to have a lot of fresh oxygen and just so you can see there's not even a ripple or anything on the water, and just watch what happens. And then that'll stop. There's real science that can be tested, repeated, observed. We've got buoyancy and the displacement of water. This is translucent. You can actually see light through it. I got it at a beach store in town because a shell like this is just about as thin as a light bulb, and we're not going to see those on the beach here. So that's real science. Maybe some of you have seen the movie The Matrix. Neo is in like a bucket or in a vat of goo, you know, that whole scene there. Well, for me, I'm using highly purified, carbon filtered, solar activated, purified water, reverse osmosis, and it's had the chemicals taken out of it. Now a lot of municipalities have chemicals like fluoride and chlorine, and that can be harmful to the neurological activity in the brain. See how that's not moving at all? And then it'll stop moving. This one was at the first Flat Earth Conference, and so was this water. That's all testable, repeatable reality. I've captured video and photos from around here, and you know, you can see there's the shape of the water is flat and level, and it fills the container that it's in. There would be no level anywhere on Earth if it were truly spinning over 1,000 miles an hour. And I had been pondering how this might work out with SpaceX to talk about civilization on Mars. I believe we've got, you know, when I look around and I see the beauty and majesty of creation, there's plenty of room here. It could be managed a bit better. And one of the things that, with the discussion of the politics on Mars, I really liked what Elon was saying about that it could be a collaboration where the people get to have input on how laws are made and what we can do or not do. Right now, the political system is, I believe, terribly broken. It's the illusion of choice. So while I don't actually believe we're going to land on Mars and colonize it, I do believe it's a way for Elon to talk about a different type of government, you know, because he would be taking people there, certainly in the imagination. A lot of people have been enthusiastic of space travel. And as I've said many times, I believe the space that many are traveling to is in their imagination. It's largely, I believe, science fiction. So in the discussion and the sharing the truth, I'm sure a lot of people will be upset with me. The people that I know in the Flat Earth movement would be saying things like, wow, are you promoting SpaceX and space travel? Well, what I'm primarily about is exposing the truth of the reality that we live in as best I can tell, wherever that leads. So in the discussion of simulation theory, where Elon Musk was heard saying, when asked the question, do you believe we're in a simulation right now? Well, I believe his response was that he believes it's a 1 in a billion that we're in base reality. You've probably heard the soundbite. Many of us have. It's on my channel. A lot of what Elon is about, and Kimball, his brother, I watched a video. It was a round table yesterday. It was precious. I really enjoyed the interaction, and I really admire the creativity and the innovative genius that Elon displays. He and his brother, his family. So when we look at this world that we live in, one of the questions that I would ask Elon are you the architect? Are you the one writing the code for this thing? If we truly were in some type of a simulation. Currently, right now, I believe we're living in a computer programmed reality, to be sure. When Elon says we're a cybernetic collective, I believe that. You know, we use devices like this to have access to information. And with the technology that's available right now, that system has access to us. So in the context of this, there's technology that many are unaware of. Artificial intelligence is extremely powerful. Have you watched TED conferences talking about it? The ideas worth sharing? Wow, powerful information. Apparently, Google Knows is a program that knows, as in knows, the olfactory sense, can actually cause you to smell a fragrance of something you're looking at on the computer. Apparently, there's technology that can read thoughts. So that may sound kind of crazy, and I want to unpack some of that for you. The Neuralink and the technology that can interpret brain impulses to activate prosthetic limbs. I actually met a guy that had a $250,000 or $175,000 leg. It looked like a Terminator leg, kinda, but it was the whole leg foot assembly was actually able to be activated by the neurological impulses. So, you know, to term what Cypher said, we're not in Kansas anymore. Kansas going bye-bye. So the kind of world that we live in is mysterious. By irony and paradox, we don't know what we don't know. And I am very open to a discussion for anybody that wants to give me a call. I make my phone number readily available so that people can call me, and it's a searchable bit of data, meaning that somebody can type that in a Google search or any other type of search engine, but it's all artificial intelligence, and I should show up. Right now, as best I can tell, I'm the #1 hashtag Robert Forsch search in the world. And because of my enthusiasm and persistence in exploring the reality of the world we live in and unapologetically make that known, I've been viewed and heard saying sound bites that have gone viral. Because I was in attendance at the first Flat Earth conference where I was heard saying, do you feel yourself spinning, wobbling, or gyrating? I believe the Earth is stationary and it doesn't move. We don't have toilet water flying out on people in Australia because of gravity. Well, hello, it's just water seeking its level. That's what it does. I like to drink it in glass. This is a repurposed whiskey bottle, by the way. Looks like a throwback from the old Cowboys days. By the way, there's a lot of mystery with history. We don't know what we don't know. And what I've found out is that when a trusted source is found out to be maliciously deceptive, I've got to be extremely cautious. It doesn't mean that everything they say is a lie from that point on. There was a Star Trek episode by the way. That there was a computer that was levitating around and creating a lot of havoc on the Enterprise, and Spock, they didn't know what to do with him. He was really creating a lot of trouble, and Spock, the perfect logic guy, emotionless logic, said to V'ger, he asked him a question. I believe that was the name, V'ger. He said, everything I say is a lie. I believe that's what he said. He made a statement, everything I say is a lie. It caused him to start smoking, and it fried him. Well, the way that, I don't know exactly how artificial intelligence works. Because I'm a biblical creationist, I believe we're looking at technology that's other dimensional, a dimension that we can't see. I'm flesh and blood, and I've got a heartbeat and a pulse, and I can fog a mirror yet, and we're electrically operated to a certain extent. The impulses in our neurological system, the magnificent processor of the human brain, and all of that. Some of the evidence of that would be, well, you can restart a person's heart in some cases with a defibrillator. So there can be a resuscitation. But at some point in time, the body is going to break down and stop working. And when so I'm gonna back up just a little bit here. On September 28th of 1993, my mother finally passed away, and she was in her early 50s, a beautiful woman. She was one of the most loving, giving people I've ever known. And so when I see people around her age, what she would be now, it's kind of hard to look at. Sometimes, I mean, I miss my mom. I would like her to see the man that I've become, the man that I previously wasn't, now that I'm actually born again. And I got the upgrades, so to speak, if we were to look at it in that vernacular. But what she told me just a few weeks before she died, and she was holding our son Austin, he was just a little newborn, she said, "Bobby, if the cancer doesn't get you, the treatment will." And she was right. She was right. So she struggled with a lot of bouts of that, and I raced professional level motocross it was a lot of fun, and you can see pictures, I can show you. But what ended up happening was she helped support the race effort by providing some extra money by working at a toy company. It was called Hortonville Toy Company. Unfortunately, the air circulation systems there were not good, and there were a lot of chemicals. She worked in the quality control department, and it was a lot of paint fumes, and a lot of people at the Hortonville Toy Company died of cancer as a result of that. Part of my exploration into that was to realize that there's an intentional biological and chemical contaminants in our world, in the food, the water, the air. I'm going to cover some of that too. And my dad, about 2 years ago, passed away as well. He had a heart attack in 2009, and then subsequent open heart surgery, and then a stroke, multiple strokes, and he lost a lot of his cognitive function as a result of that. And the sad part of that is that he, I did end up spending the last couple months of his life with he and our sons back in Wisconsin. I went from Myrtle Beach area here to there to spend time with them. And he was on a smorgasbord of pharmaceuticals that would make it difficult for anybody to survive that. He was just a phenomenal man, and he was a steel salesman. He worked with engineers and helped give the right like cold rolled stainless steel that the Cybertruck's made out of. I mean, I listened to him explain different steel consistencies and their applications, and he sold steel to Manitowoc Engineering that made tunnel boring machines. I knew about those in 1972 or so. Yeah, he said he looked like Get Smart. He went down in an elevator and he said, Bobby, I went down in an elevator today. I was like about 12 years old. He said, I saw a tunnel boring machine that was so big, they put it on the front end of a locomotive and they were boring tunnels in the earth. And then they would take that tunnel boring machine and take it over to Sturgeon Bay Shipbuilding and load them on up and take them all around the world. And as many of us know, there's a lot of there's a lot of deep underground military bases and things like that. And now Elon has found a way to pretty economically create tunnels, the boring company, and create pathways for navigation in very congested areas. I used to live in Los Angeles or in Seal Beach, California. That would be, if you look up my name, if you hashtag my name, you'll see I lived there. And so I know what it was like to be stuck on the 405 and then go up and down 101 and in the Ortega Highway out through Carlsbad into Palm Springs on a cafe racer motorcycle. And I met a lot of rich and famous people. And I ended up not really wanting to sacrifice my integrity for profitability or for money. What will it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul? What could I give in exchange for it? Priceless. So when we consider the different choices that we make in life, there are huge changes that occur as a result of choices that we make. So I previously didn't have the willpower that many would view it as to stop doing things that were harming me. Drug addiction, including alcohol and tobacco and whatever is in all of the different tobacco. I struggled with that, and marijuana, and who knows what all the chemicals that are in that now are. People spike it sometimes, or they'll add, they'll create really sexually frustrated female plants. Imagine that. So they get all the THC sticky goo all over it. And I was making my own e-liquid before it was really that popular. Now it's more widely known. But in this area, it was illegal. It still is. So, I'm free from drugs and alcohol, so I'm not riding dirty. I don't need to be afraid of getting pulled over and that type of thing. Not for that. Because of my exposing the military-industrial complex and actually a lot of very wicked people are leveraging artificial intelligence to exploit that control that they can have over humanity, creating money out of thin air and then the influence that money can purchase. So some of the wealthiest people in the world are, unfortunately, maybe not family members of mine. I don't know for sure. Because even those that are very wealthy and may actually be inhabited by a spiritual entity other than God, the living water, the living word, Yahweh, the great I am, the Alpha and Omega, knowing the end from the beginning. They may be inhabited by Lucifer, Satan, a demon, fallen angel, however that all works out. Some derivative of the fallen. And then there's the elect, those that are God's children. I believe I'm one of God's children. I wanted to know back for a long time, many years. if I was truly born again, why was I struggling with things I was supposed to be free from? And the answer I got was disturbing in one sense and relieving in another. What I found out is that I was trying to do it in my own strength, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that's all I had until there was more. There was a lot more. So now when I was actually born again, I was set free from a life of addiction, given a passion, purpose, an eternal perspective, the power to do what I previously couldn't do, and the pleasure to enjoy it all, even though it was really unpopular and potentially life-threatening in the human sense, the physiology. I believe we're eternal beings having a temporary human experience. And even in the human experience, as we look around at the sea of humanity, there's other than entirely human. There's spiritually enhanced, either with an angel of darkness or a fallen angel, a demon, or the Creator himself that spoke this world into existence. With that in mind, we have clones, I believe, enhanced or H+, human plus technology, more than a bandwidth issue like Elon talks about. I'm not hating on Elon. I want to talk to him. I want to have a face-to-face or even on the phone. I wouldn't be talking like that. It'd be on a speakerphone or my earbuds. So I don't know that I'll actually ever be able to go out to one of the Tesla factories like in Fremont. I would like to. Like I mentioned earlier, I believe there's abundant energy all around us that could be harvested and added to the mobile Faraday cage that the Teslas are. I mean, stamped aluminum or stainless of the Cybertruck, that's an amazing amount of steel. And although cars all around us, or all around the world, a lot of them, most of them are made out of steel, some fiberglass and other composites, carbon fiber and more. I used to go to racetracks and all that, Elkhart Lake, and see the billionaires that would go out there to play with development of race cars and new technology. All that being said, even though those other vehicles had a metal construction, a body, a frame, they were not electric, not entirely electric. So to look at the AC propulsion that J.B. Straubel has worked on the Teslas is amazing. To look at the autonomous robots that are basically operating masterfully. So I've watched many, many hours of the documentaries to see the Gigafactory operate, to see the space launches. Oh yeah. Now I didn't say this, Elon did. You can tell it's real because it looks so fake. We've got better CGI than that. So part of what I'm saying, I don't know if I'm part of the catalyst to force the issue, because I've been very prolific in saying we've got a structure up above us. It's called the firmament. It's a glass structure. It's a dome, and so that's going to be a problem with some of the cosmology that the official space programs are talking about. One of the things is you can't have a pressurized atmosphere without a structure. If I put this water out in the sun, well, by the way, is this half full or empty? It's, well, less. It's completely full. There's atmosphere up here. If I flip it over and do this, it'll do it day in, day out. But water doesn't stick to a ball. And the perfectly flat, motionless water reflecting the stars as they move and not a ripple on it in some cases on the beautiful time lapse, that's evidence that there's an inconsistency with the information we're being presented. So if Elon wanted to introduce an alternative system of government leveraging artificial intelligence for good in actually helping the people directly determine how they want to operate. That would circumvent the power structures of the world that we have currently. The military-industrial complex enslaves humanity with the fabrication of technology that is really effective at killing a lot of people and enslaving the rest of humanity with that, with the fear that's generated with mutually assured destruction of a nuclear holocaust of sorts. And we can know that there's a fire that is coming. There will be a fire in the creation of preceding the new heaven and the new earth. There's going to be a fire that destroys even the elements. So the water that this is too pure to actually work for electrolysis. It would need a catalyst for conductivity like potassium or baking soda, something like that, to facilitate the conductivity and the shattering of the oxygen-hydrogen bond. And then you get HHO. I've been talking with people in the HHO or hydroxygen industries for years. I put an electrolysis hydrogen generator on a Buick Park Avenue supercharged Ultra more than a decade ago. Over 20 years ago, I was aware that there's technology to create steel reinforced panel construction. I'm gonna flip open my computer here and show you something. So this is, like Elon has said, and I agree with him, we have access to basically almost all the information, or much of the information in the world. And then what I would say, is it true? So even this meme that's had a lot of shares says, imagine, if you will, there's Rod Serling, an entire country, I would say world, an entire world so ignorant that the people willfully give billions of dollars in order to elect rich criminals to rule over their lives and steal their money, but believe they are free. So there's the illusion of choice. There's the illusion of control that people have in their lives, but it's actually lacking. So RSG, I'm gonna go to virtually disaster-proof construction right out in California. I've looked it up before. There it is. #RSG. Here we go. Some of my posts show that. That's why it comes up. Let's see if I can find. I think I've got to add to that RSG. They were on some of the major networks out there, and I'll tell you why. For disaster-proof construction, 3D panel is what it's called. Okay, RSG 3D. Here we go. And they should come up. Oh, it didn't show up there. I've got to do it again. So here we go, RSG 3D. I'll type in panel. That'll get us there. Yeah, here we go. We couldn't find anything. That's interesting. Okay, now we're getting closer, I think. Well, here we've got printable solar panels. That's interesting. Solar City, I'm very interested in that as well. I'll just put that I love that on there since I'm here. Somebody will look at that and go, huh, who's that? Who's that? Well, that's me. And that's part of what I end up doing is interacting with people all over the world like this. Let's see if we've got some here. No, that's not it. Okay, so it's a little bit more complicated than I thought. I'm going to back on out and do it like this. So 3D panel concrete construction, building precast concrete. Okay, let's see if I can. Here we go. Here's RSG. This is the actual website. So we're looking at sustainability, and as it relates to fortified, disaster-proof construction, can withstand wildfires, winds over 300 miles an hour, and earthquakes. They're out of Santa Rosa, or they had CBS coverage and CNN of Santa Rosa fires construction that survived. So in a situation like this where a house has sustainable development, this is highly efficient to climate control, which is one of the biggest energy costs in a home. And then in a household, a family, having that. And then if you combine it with the excellent technology of electric vehicles and solar panels. Let's go on over here to the different benefits of Tesla. Let's go over here. Okay, so here we are with the Tesla Solar, the largest battery in the world, apparently, right there. There's the Gigafactory. Wow. How about that? Let's crank it up a little bit. Yeah, I would like to do that. No kidding, like who wouldn't? So when we look at the different aspects of the reality, let's see what we got here. So I'm a fan of so much. Hello. And there's a juxtaposition. This is a little awkward in that I'm exposing what I believe is science fiction fantasy of a billion-year-old or 14.9 billion-year-old existence, and how could anybody know that? Apparently carbon dating is not reliable, and speculation of what happened a long time ago has been proven to be, well, largely in question to people that apply critical thinking. So part of the evidence for the biblical creation would be shark teeth in the desert, Noah's Ark in the mountains of Ararat. How about that? It's been discovered, it's on my channel. The fact that there's been other archaeological finds too, like the Sodom and Gomorrah and that whole location there. It's on my channel. We've got pyramids under the ocean. How about that? Were they electrical power generators? If you were to make a pyramid house out of insulated concrete construction, it could withstand several 100-mile-an-hour winds. And you could have closed circuit cameras to see outside and all that if you wanted to, like that big screen TV I have. But anything that's online is then visible through the whole network of artificial intelligence. So, like I heard Elon saying, the car, if you had a problem with your vehicle, before you stopped rolling, the system would know and be notified to send help. And that can be a really good thing. So this system of knowledge and communication, being made aware of information, can be a real benefit if the information is accurate. So is it true? Whatever it is that you want to know about, whatever it is. So that's a really big thing, especially when you want to know something really important, like where will I spend forever and why? Well, for me, I get to go to heaven. My down payment on that destination is the Holy Spirit living in and through me, so that I have a passion, purpose, and eternal perspective, and the power to do what I previously couldn't do, even though it's really unpopular. How about that? And the pleasure to enjoy it all. Yeah. So rather than living a life for the pursuit of pleasure, I found that living a life to honor God, to obey Him, is very, very rewarding. So that when some of the Google and Facebook execs are talking about like that we created these short feedback reward loops for people to, update their devices. By the way, I really enjoyed the roundtable yesterday with the third seat, where Elon was there with a group of people. I really enjoyed Kimball as well. He had some really cool things to say, and he was right there, even though he was looking at his device a lot. He was actively listening to what was going on. I mean, they're very very aware of a lot. And so, like when I just typed Kimball, I would have asked him a question if I was there. I would have wanted to hear more, literally, of what he is doing as well, and his participation in the companies that they're collaborating on. So it wasn't a condescending jab at all. That's really normally not how I roll. So I would love to interact with that team, and I would like to talk with them whenever that works. So my phone number, whoever you are listening to this right now, you can call me anytime you want. And please pass my phone number on to Elon. I would think he knows who I am by now. The artificial intelligence most certainly does. Because of my activity, I've been very busy in wanting to help people make an educated, informed choice on their eternity. My channel used to be called Eternal Perspective. I wanted people to understand that this is a very temporary existence, and then there's going to be a more permanent destination that we all will reside in. And so I've done commission sales, straight commission, and did really well with it. Did really well in real estate, buying and selling and fixing up houses that we lived in, and I improvised a lot, and it worked well. That being said, this is not sales. What this is, because I've ordered a Cybertruck, I am now part of the network of Tesla, of part of this large group of people that are working to make this world a better place, quite frankly. I really agree with all that. So if you have concerns about my integrity, am I a troll or a shill, or what am I about anyway? Well, I've made the audio Bible available on my social media platforms that I'm participating in. And Bible.is and Bible.com are an effective way of hearing God's word, to know what's there, to recognize the evidence for the Creator, and He can be seen within His creation. That's why this matters. So, not too long ago, it was the early part of December, I did a video and I made it a premiere, at which point my entire liked videos playlist became private. I noticed it right away. The AI knows I noticed it right away, and I took a little bit of time and I reversed it in my exploration as to why that happened. I found out that there was a memo, just a friendly reminder, that everybody's liked videos playlist after December 5th would no longer be publicly visible. For about a year, I had been encouraging people to, right about the time I started bathing in the drinking water and some serious fog cleared from my processor up here. Well, anyway, what I had been encouraging people to do is to like a video and make that liked videos playlist publicly visible, and copy and paste that information wherever they want on a picture. I had on any posts that I make, I'll typically have a way that people will find my, or would find my liked videos playlist. Now, if you explore my photo albums and that, some of those links are going to come up as not viewable anymore because of that censorship. I actually believe I was directly involved in changing that. A couple years ago, I met a Google executive out on the point in Cherry Grove. There were only a handful of people out there, and it's normally pretty quiet down where I was. Do you think that was a coincidence? I've met people from the State Department at their own explanation to me out there. I meet people from the alphabet agencies. I've hashtagged them in my content. And one of the reasons that I'm in plain sight is I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. That's powerful. When Elon said that he used to be afraid of the dark, and then he just realized it was an absence of photons, an absence of light. Well, I've come into the light. I've found the light of the new life in Christ. I used to be afraid of the dark. It kind of freaked me out because I had an idea that there were spiritual entities that I couldn't see. Well, I believe that's real, that there are spiritual entities that we can't see. Some of the channels that I've featured, I featured them by liking a playlist and including it on my channel. Like That's Impossible. That is just, there's some really outrageous stuff. We don't know what we don't know. There's a world of energy all around us. Some of that energy is good, some of it is not. How about that? There are forces at work that are beyond human capacity to really comprehend, and they're not the kind of forces that you can, God is all powerful and all knowing. Because he lives in and through me, I get a glimpse of what that's like. So I'm going to digress here for a moment. I love the solar panels on the houses. I love the integration of batteries within the power grid of the world. That made perfect sense to me. I've been wanting to see that for over 30 years. Okay, this is not new to me. What is new to me is now that I've had my fill of being in a digital quarantine somewhat in the truth movement, I'm wanting to explore and reach out to people that I want to interact with, people that are wanting to make a difference. One of the comments on one of the Tesla videos was, "They're some of the nicest people." Yeah, they're people that want to make a difference and make this a better world. How can we do that? Well, there's a lot of naturally occurring energy all around us in the form of sunshine. So there's solar energy. I've noticed a very interesting correlation between my level of being in the sun and not having a lot of an appetite as much. So I believe there's energy that is generated and distributed through our skin. So I exfoliate regularly. I'm a 58-year-old guy and I feel great. I put healthy nutrients in my body and keep the neurotoxins off of me and out of me as much as possible. So I've got doctors that are on my channel as well. So when I talk about Neuralink, here we go. I believe that it's really important to treat the brain in a way that is going to give the best result, to be able to be aware of our surroundings. Oh gosh, what is his name? He did like 83,000 brain images. And I might think of it a little bit later. He talked about having a brain envy. And I really grabbed a hold of that. And what I realized is that if I use my taste buds as my determiner of what goes in my body, that's not going to be so good. That's not going to have such a good outcome, because a lot of the desirable foods for the taste buds, a lot of the sugars are cancer foods. Cancer loves sugar, and it doesn't thrive as much in an environment that's alkaline. So the baking soda boron water that I sip a few times a day, that's really good for cleansing the liver. A quart of water and a tablespoon of baking soda and borax, and I bring it to a boil. It kills gastrointestinal fungus, candida, jock itch, yeast infections, dandruff, all kinds of stuff. Some of the contaminants that are being dispersed as geoengineering and weather modification have biological fungi that actually have they replicate fast, and they have properties that are not good for our physiology and our cognitive function. Some of those metals, like maybe you've heard aluminum, barium, strontium, can be electrically activated by NexRad radar, as well as the energy in the ether that's all around us as well. A lot of people would talk about HAARP, and although that was an exploration facility in Gakona, Alaska, working with some of this technology, although that may be utilized some, I believe that we're still looking at a lot of technology that people are unaware of, where quite possibly the cellular and the power grid and where water vapor is generated through steam for nuclear power plants and coal plants. There's a lot of vapor that's generated that goes along with this. There's weather modification that is very elaborate. Now, in the metals that I mentioned for geoengineering, when we swallow that and it hits the hydrochloric acid in our gut, in our digestive tract, there's some properties going on there. There's nanoparticles and self-assembling like nanobots. And I understand that may sound kind of weird to you. If it does, you might want to look into it or not. That's entirely up to you. I know what I'm talking about. For the AI, the artificial intelligence knows I know what I'm talking about, and so do a lot of people that are aware of a lot of this. I've been studying it for a long time. I've been curious my whole life. Some of those metals are one of the reasons why we had such fires like we've never seen before in California and Australia, because they are the metals that are in sparklers, apparently. Some of the burning that's gone on with Fort Ord out there on the coast in California was, I have a friend that lives out there. She was an activist, still is, in dealing with the burning of weapons and that, depleted uranium weapons and more. It's not healthy to breathe it in. We live in a contained environment. I want to grab something here. Now, this is actually a gallon of water, and then there's a little bubble in it. You can maybe see the bubble at the top. Maybe not so good. But anyway, do you know how much a gallon of water weighs? It depends on the temperature. That temperature variant causes the expanding and contracting of the water sufficiently that when it's cold, so it's around 8 pounds, depending on temperature, just so you know. That drives the water cycle of the world. The evaporation, condensation, precipitation in all its forms, rain, snow, sleet, fog, humidity, all of that. That being said, water that's stored up in reservoirs that then flows through in the form of hydroelectric power, very powerful. So the rain that condenses, or the moisture that condenses and drops in reservoirs, is a part of our power system of the world, electrical generation. Artificial intelligence has administrative access to the entire internet, including the creation and distribution of electricity, information, money, the power that the money purchases by the people that are influenced. They want to have food and shelter, and some of them want to have a lot of toys and expensive habits that they're willing to compromise their integrity. Some of the people that are addicted to a lot of drugs and that are a lot of times in the disinformation business. Hollywood, Hollyweird. I cover the Illuminati. It's on my channel. There's a lot of dark spiritual entities. There's human trafficking, blood drinking Satanists, human sacrificing Satanists, pedophiles. I'm exposing all that. Can you think of anybody that would want me to shut the heck up? Yeah, I would like to have a Cybertruck with 30 cold rolled stainless steel that could handle a 9mm projectile. But I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I mean, look at me. I'm sitting here. There's just a little bit of glass on the other side of me. I don't know what's out there. I don't need to know. I know that God holds my soul for eternity. So when this physiology stops working, I'm good to go. So what I've done is compiled a lot of powerful information for people to look at and to consider to make an informed choice. For different political activities like voting and Brexit and public opinion and this candidate, that candidate, it's part of a very elaborate system of control to cause people to argue and fight with one another and unfriend and block and or do more harm than that. So in the creation and distribution of public opinion, the powerful search algorithms are more than, hey, I heard you got a puppy. Here's some food recommendations. Hey, I heard you talking about like AI listening in on your phone. Hey, I guess you were looking at electric cars. I'm gonna send you some stuff. It's more than that. In the distribution of the creation and distribution of public opinion and belief, the very elaborate system like OpenAI, Google DeepMind, Google Zero. I mean, I know my stuff. I know that this stuff is very powerful, and it would be really intimidating if I wasn't good to go. Okay, so quantum computing, as best I can tell, and Ouija boards have something really important in common. They're drawing from a spiritual dimension. There's a dimension other than the physical. It's a spiritual dimension. One of the playlists that I've saved talks about programmed to kill. Wow, what's that all about? Well, some of the school shootings, some of the, like Jeffrey Dahmer, his history, it's tragic. And then right next to that, there's 171 videos. You can look at it right now if you want to. Was Julian Assange, WikiLeaks. Apparently, he was part of a controlled programming of humanity. Keep in mind, this system of control is so elaborate that it'll give us the false idea that we're getting the truth in the truth movement. Yeah, it's complicated. So is it true? Whatever you want to know about, what I'm being told, to be clear and intellectually honest, if I were deceived, I wouldn't know it. That's why so many people can be very enthusiastic and passionate about promoting a deception they believe to be the truth. It's the way it works. It's mind control programming. We're all being programmed. I program myself too. When I sleep at night, I listen to the Bible. I've got it on my devices and all that, but I've got God's word hidden in my heart. And I believe that that's really important. So there's a whole lot of people that are all excited about going to heaven, and they talk about Jesus, and they believe in the biblical creation. They may not even be born again yet, because I used to work at a full-time ministry, Rawhide Boys Ranch, from 1991 to 2002. And prior to that, I did street ministry in California, reached out to the homeless, downtown LA, feeding the hungry and reaching out to them. I've helped a lot of people over the years. And I also, from 91 to 02, I was selected to lead some of the character developments and classes and men's groups at the Christ the Rock Community Church in Appleton, Wisconsin. And we were foster parents for some like 9 young men that we worked with as helping them transition back into the community. And we homeschooled our sons. We had our own little private school. I know Ad Astra is a class that is a school that Elon is creating for his family, and probably some more too. What I want to share with you is, even though I did that activity, I wasn't born again then. See, I thought I was born again in 1982. That's when I went from I was an atheist. I believed that the Bible was a fairy tale, and I just kind of went along with it. I just didn't really believe it was true. I went along with it as I would go to church, but I didn't want to stay in there, so I'd wait in the car when I was a boy. And then we raced motocross, and there wasn't much church happening then. And then I found when I was in high school, a pot-smoking physical science teacher that was really cool and funny, and I started smoking weed and thinking outside the box big time. And that can happen. But I still believe that the Bible was a fairy tale. Well, I did a lot of things over a long time, and it wasn't until 2014 that I believe I was actually born again. So the unpopular message that I have within the churchianity or the religious community, I believe that there's a pretty limited, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father but through me. The gospel is foolishness to those that are perishing. They're not going to get it. The names of all God's children were put in the Lamb's Book of Life before the foundation of the world, well, before I goofed up and asked for help. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not handing out a miserable, do I have to do this? No, I love to do what I do. I sleep a few hours a day whenever I need it. I talk to people around the world, around the clock. I'm dealing with time zones all over the place. Names you would know. Names you would know. The system knows. The artificial intelligence knows every keystroke I've ever made on my computer. Do you remember them all? How many phone numbers could you write down on a piece of paper? I'd recommend doing that, because anything digital can get wiped out like that. Yeah, how about that? So there might be like a little reminder of an event. You know, I could have something that I think of. The sense of smell is a retrieval of memories. There's a lot going on. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Dr. M, I forget his full name, but he was the brain, the neurological evaluator of brain imagery. It's on the tip of my tongue, right there. But anyway, I had wanted to have a brain envy. I'm more than a house cat. Yeah, I'm not. I know that Elon talks about, in comparison, AI and a house cat. I don't really need to be directly integrated with an implant. That's not something that interests me. Not for myself. I'm interested in that activity of that going on. And there are some applications where mobility patients, people that have adaptive issues, like maybe the loss of an arm. Remember the Terminator, where he pulled the skin off of his arm? I'll be back, Arnold. My brother did the original makeup for Arnold Schwarzenegger. At the William Forsh is his name. He's got an IMDb profile. He worked on Star Wars, Ghostbusters, The Terminator, and more. He plaster casted a lot of celebrities, including Robin Williams and me. I actually have more celebrity status than I ever thought I would ever have. But there's not a whole lot of middle ground. There's people love me and love to hate me, both. And with the censorship that's going on, I don't really anticipate my channel will get taken down now. I don't think so, but I don't know. I would have no way of knowing that. What happens though, when I do a search, and I type a word in, whatever the word is, and I hit enter, in less than a half a second, there may be millions of results there. How many of those realistically can I get through? So it's very easy for the artificial intelligence to regulate what people find in the searching. The algorithms have changed. It was it was genius. Okay, so I'm aware that we're dealing with something that's smarter than me, not smarter than we, God in and through me. So like I say, I get a glimpse of some of this. As far as the computer frequency to brain, like if I think something, how much of that thinking of something can the system pick up on? Apparently some. There's declassified technology, silent weapons for quiet wars, targeted gang stalking, targeted individuals. It's a big deal. I am a targeted individual. We all are, to a certain extent. As far as the mind control programming that's going on, it's happening in mass through the television, computers. That's all a given. About, I would say 5 years ago, I had wondered with all, when I go out on the beach. I spent a lot of time on the beach, and I would open up my phone and see what signals I could pick up to go on the internet, because data was expensive, especially 5 years ago or so. To watch a YouTube video, it could burn up all my data. So I would want to go on to a Wi-Fi from like a hotel or wherever it was free access, or I knew the codes for a lot of them. Well, I was thinking, with all those frequencies bouncing around out there, I wonder how much of that I'm able to pick up on. Where do our thoughts come from? Let that sink in. I'm going to say that again. Where do our thoughts come from? Okay, so when I walked outside tonight, the sun was setting, it was beautiful, and I could smell a wildfire. I used to live in California, like I said, and I remember what the wildfires smell like in the canyons with low humidity. We had really low humidity today. It smells different, low humidity, high humidity. Was I smelling some of the wildfires from Australia? I believe we live in an enclosed environment with the firmament above us. I don't know how big this puddle is that's behind me, the ocean that covers the face of the stationary and level earth. A lot of people say, she's around. Yeah, she's around the water, she's a flat. That's what it does. So, there you go. So, to digress back to what I would like to, I know Tesla has a power wall where lithium batteries are not only taking energy from the sun and storing it when there's low peak, lower cost usage for electricity, like at nighttime. The system will draw energy in from the grid to maintain a more even sine wave or distribution of the power system of the world. Thought about it a long time ago, and I'm sure Elon did too, and others have as well. We've got an alternator. I've got an alternator on the Lexus, on my internal combustion, naturally aspirated, fuel injected V8. It goes good. It's pretty quick, but not as quick as 1.9 seconds from 0 to 60, or my tri-motor. If I actually get the tri-motor, 2.9 seconds from 0 to 60? Wow. I like high performance. I appreciate excellence. I worked on prototype equipment before, working stainless steel at Nurcon Engineering in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, real close to Oshkosh Truck. And one of our clients was Travenol Laboratories. We made stainless steel tabletop conveyor, and I worked on prototype equipment, one-of-a-kind things that needed to look just perfect. So you could take stainless steel and make it look real pretty. Yeah, I would like to have a stainless steel truck. Yeah, I would. In fact, if I could get one early and go out and share with people the benefits of a Cybertruck or the Tesla system of electrifying innovation that's going on worldwide. I featured a lot of videos from Tesla that showed people from all over the world. Imagine right now a Tesla taxi. Like, instead of Uber, I'm sure there would be a lot of challenges to work through some of the corporate politics. But imagine if on your app you send your car out to work, and it picks up people and takes them places, and I know that discussion has happened. So instead of an Uber or Lyft, you've got a Tesla. How about that? How about supercharging? It's awesome. This stuff is amazing. To go back to the Tesla Powerwall, imagine if you had a Tesla powerhouse. The powerhouse. It saves energy and balances out the electrical grid somewhat, taking up some of the power when it's most optimal and lower cost, and can maintain a more even production of the hydroelectric power, the steam generated power. I want to go back to the water. You know how ice works? It expands. When water turns into ice, it expands the molecules of the water enough that it displaces water and can float on top of water. I've driven the Truth Mobile on a lake before, Lake Winnebago in Wisconsin. Yeah, I've seen boats that go over 100 miles an hour on Lake Winnebago. Keycaper Marine worked there. My dad sold steel to all these places, and he would, at night when we would sit around the table and eat fresh beans that we picked in the garden. We had a little Yorkshire Terrier, Scruffy, and he used to pull carrots out of the ground, and his back legs would lift up when he would do it. My mom and I would be out there picking beans or pulling carrots and picking berries and all that, and then we would go in and have a nice meal together as a family. And I remember sitting there the night we found out Elvis the King passed on. Thank you very much. I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember the Nixon impeachment when that was going on. Now we've got another president that's going through an impeachment process. A lot of what we're presented is theater to cause people to argue with one another and shatter relationship, to break relationship. So in my effort in what's going on right now, in and through me, I'm actually wanting to promote a technology I believe is beneficial for the whole world. Oh, by the way, I want to go back to the ice in the water. So ice caps melting, they're not really caps. When ice melts, it just reduces the amount of volume, and I know there's tall ice walls. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know when they show Antarctica and the pole there and a sign that says where it is, and it's in Antarctica, and there's a scientific research center there. It doesn't necessarily mean it's in Antarctica. They could be at the North Pole. We don't know. Not telling me. I just know that I'm very curious about how a lot of things work, and I'm open to considering even the architect. If this is some type of a high-tech Westworld kind of simulation, who's the architect? Now, I still believe that so I'm still a biblical creationist, and that may sound like some kind of a disconnect. How could you believe? I don't believe I'm living in a computer tower. But think about what Morpheus said to Neo in the desert of the real, down when they're looking at things. How do you define real? If it's what you can see, taste, feel, touch, then it's merely neurological impulses interpreted by your brain. So when Michio Kaku is talking about attaching your consciousness to a laser beam and sending it to Mars, well, I can tell you right now, there's a lot of people living in a fantasy dream world of epic proportions, and it can be one fantasy or another. It doesn't necessarily have to involve space travel, although I remember where I was when I saw the moon landing. Hoax. I believe that was a hoax. Just saying. I can't undo my digital profile for my whole life and what I've been talking about. I'm not recanting that position. I'm just wanting us to, as my friends and family, consider what's up with Robert now. He's even put a hashtag for SpaceX. Yeah, a lot of people are really enthusiastic about space travel. And as I've said before, The space that NASA is primarily concerned with is between your ears, the imagination station. When we look at Hollywood and the books, the magazines, and the transpocalypse, which involves transhumanism and transgendering, it's all there. Where they would say towards the end of days, I believe we're living in the end of days, that people would say wrong is right and right is wrong. So you can change the plumbing and padding, but it's still genetically male or female. That's the way it is. Now with CRISPR technology, and I'm not good at saying what the acronym is for CRISPR. I just know there's eugenics and there's a population reduction that, like Bill Gates is talking about, if we do a really good job with vaccinations, we can reduce the population of the world. So and I don't agree with that. I believe that vaccinations are toxic and it's hurting humanity. It's not only crippling the children and the people who take them in some cases, many cases, it holds everybody else hostage. When a single mom, let's say, or a husband and wife have a child that's vaccine damaged, and then the father gets into a bottle of alcoholism, the wife is all shook up and he's absent, and then you've got a broken family. You see any broken families around? It's happening in epic proportions. It's the way Jesus talked about that families would break up. He said, you thought I came to bring peace? I came to bring division. By nature, the truth is divisive. There's the truth, and then there's a whole lot of everything else, a very elaborate deception. To go along with that, the truth isn't based on popular opinion. Survey says, no, that's not how the truth is determined. God determines the truth, and then there's everything else. So the truth isn't based on popular opinion. It's not popular and it's not an opinion. It's the reality of the situation, whatever it is. Whatever it is that you want to know about, I encourage you to seek the truth of that with all your heart. Seeing is believing. What? What do we see? What do we believe? Can we be tricked? Oh yeah, how about that? There's a lot of fakery going on. So in the management, the damage control, or the managing of social opinion or political correctness, that's being determined and shaped by very powerful information creation, distribution systems, and the influence that's purchased with the money that's created out of thin air. Oh boy, I'm all over the place, right? It's a big deal. It's a very elaborate system of control, a prison for your mind. I want to free your mind. I want to free your soul. I want to help. I'm wanting to hand out invitations so that people can enjoy what I've found. God is not a cosmic killjoy taking the fun out of life. That's just what I found to be true. On the outside looking in, that's the way it looks. So the angry atheists that believe there is no God but are really pissed off that others believe there is one, it's a bit of a it's a disconnect. It's kind of weird. It's kind of funny. So I find a lot of things funny. I've got a B-roll going on in my imagination quite a bit. So the imagination is powerful. I have awesome dreams. Sometimes they're lucid, and I actually get to do stuff in them. I get to sometimes choose to get out of them. I want to show you something. I put coconut oil on my skin. It keeps me looking so young and that. Well, this is a wallet that I took out of a lucid dream. And the reason why I mentioned the coconut oil, it'll wipe out a receipt just like that. It'll turn it blank. So even when I had a wallet with receipts in it, I have so much coconut oil around me that it would just wipe out the receipts. So this was a practical way of protecting my important papers, and it's a minimalist wallet. You can get a bag of snack bags pretty cheap, and it's a nice way to go. And if you don't have a newer phone that's waterproof, you can slip it in there if you need to. Now they make the phones better, so you don't have to worry about the getting wet. I saw the Steve Jobs reveal of the iPhone 3G. 3G. Now we're talking about 5G, but what he was talking about is, isn't it frustrating when people remember how you were half a year or 15 months ago, and or 18 months ago, and they're looking at you like you're that person? You're not that person. He said that's kind of the way it is with the company. And there's the development that we have as individuals, and part of that perspective where people see things the way they want to see them. To go along with that, I believe people largely believe the lie they want to believe. And unfortunately, God will help them do that, apparently. They refuse to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion. So Satan is an opportunist, and he will use who and what he can, and God uses it all. He's got no shortage of money. God has no shortage of money and resources. As much as I would like to have an electric car, I travel the world electrically, leveraging the portable instantaneous communicators worldwide, wanting to raise up a group of people that will continue to participate with me in sharing the truth to the ends of the earth around the clock. So when I had tens of millions of occurrences of my liked videos playlist that I was able to put together, I did that with the help of friends that have shared my work thousands and thousands of times. When we collaborate together on a noble purpose, something to benefit humanity, that's a good thing. That's one of the reasons why I'm venturing into the group of people now that are, working. And it's not just people that like Tesla. It's people that are examining the reality of the world we live in and wanting to make it a better place, wanting to fix what's broken. And it's beyond human capacity to do. So I was spiritually dead. I was a dead man walking. I was given new life. That's what I want to help everybody to consider. Are you spiritually dead, or are you spiritually alive? And there's a veritable spiritual smorgasbord that humanity is dining on. I'll take a little of this, I'll take a little of that, like they're at the Olive Garden or something, and they can just, like it's a buffet, I'll do this and that, and that'll be okay, and you got your truth, and I got my truth, and everybody's singing Kumbaya, and just let people do what they. I can't stop people from doing what they want to do or believing what they want to believe. What I've found is that curiosity is a powerful catalyst for consideration. So when this obscure guy, meaning me, enters into somebody's life experience, where in the heck did that guy come from? What's that all about? Because in this whole exploration of truth, we interact with people from all over. In this area where I live, in the Myrtle Beach area, this is Longs in South Carolina. If you look up my name and you're looking for the Robert Forsch in Longs, hello, that's me. And the ocean is about 4 miles behind me. And right now where I'm sitting is only about 10 to 20 feet above sea level. Yeah, I've got sandbags handy in case I need to put them by the doors. We had floodwaters come up and almost flood out the house last year. not in 2019, but in 2018. So the Hurricane Florence was a modified storm. Almost all our weather is being modified and manipulated by electronics. And this is another very controversial topic. I'm going to talk about it. I know that there's talk of a lot of systems going up into as satellites, okay? And there's a lot of ground-based systems too for internet, Starlink, okay? So I believe that we're looking at a lot of ground-based internet. I don't need a satellite to get YouTube on my phone or to talk to somebody all the way around thousands of miles away, apparently, England. You know, they're 5 hours ahead. Maybe some of them are watching there, I don't know. And I talk with people all over the world, Australia, England, Sweden, Norway. It's pretty cool. That's why I put my name on my stuff. I mean, about 4 years ago, there was a pretty well viewed video where I was featured in, where I had my phone number there. And I got calls from all over because especially early on in this whole discussion, what happened is people were really brutal, really right away. And people wanted to know, am I losing it? Am I crazy or something for believing something so unpopular? It's just that there's so many that are programmed to believe the lie. There's like a virus for the truth. And what that does is it causes people to reject new information because they believe it to be false, when in fact, in some cases, it may be the truth. Now, not only was I seen over 40 million views, and you can check it out on PewDiePie, Logan Paul, the BBC, the London Guardian, you know, this is not something new for me. And I have been given some skills. I have a special set of skills. And I would be happy to invest some of that activity to make this world a better place. That was one of the comments that Elon said, to make this world a better place. I really like Elon Musk. I got to tell you, the more I learn about him, the more I like him. And his brother Kimball, and making vertical gardens and places and containers where there's grow lights and really healthy food. Makes sense to me. I was working on a grow room in my attic, but it wasn't for broccoli or for parsley. I was going to be growing some weed because it was so expensive, marijuana, and it's illegal here. So now that I'm a free man, I can talk about it, and I don't have that around me. I don't do that, don't need that. But here's what I wanted to talk about. In those container units, like Elon and Kimball were talking about, you know, launching to Mars and having a greenhouse there. Well, right now, the face of the earth is covered by so much water that can be desalinated very effectively with solar power and other technology that's available. You can pump water out of the ground. There's aquifers, the earth on the edge of the coastline. Maybe some of these people that are a little farther inland, maybe in Africa, in South America, maybe they need to go more towards the coast, but that's a high rent district. And you know, I remember living in California and driving down to Mexico. It was kind of scary. Okay, there's drug gangs there. I mean, it was pretty scary. I was around some of it. And anyway, there was galvanized, like corrugated steel and cardboard and barbed wire right next to steel reinforced concrete castles. The disparity between the haves and the have-nots was amazing. So what I would like to see SpaceX do is or at least the effort, not maybe instead of, but in addition to, a plan to help with desalination, healthier food for people that need it. There's a lot of hungry people that could use some water and some healthy nutrition. This world is big enough. If you go to my channel and you go for the drone footage, the aerial footage platforms from all over the world, there's a lot of real estate development that could happen. Unfortunately, if you look at the Georgia Guidestones and they want to reduce the population, who are they? The New World Order. Like George W. Bush, we will be successful. The New World Order to manage a population of about 500 million people and to manage it like that. That means a whole lot of people got to go. But even with the artificial intelligence, as dangerous as I know it is, it's not just that I believe it is, I know it is, God is still sovereign. And all that technology, all that silicon and gold for the quantum computers, the gold-plated shrine, or the actual system that has some activity, it works, apparently. And this computer, and the interconnectivity of the whole cloud. When there's a fire that destroys even the water, when it's all vaporized, and there's a new heaven and a new earth, there won't be the evil. There won't be the evil people in the new heaven and the new earth. Unfortunately, the people that are not God's children, they're apparently Satan's children and the fallen angels, they're going to have a very regretful hell. Hell is a terrible place, and I wouldn't want to go there. So in the playlists that I've featured, The Truth May Scare You, it's like 14 videos of the Illuminati and the activity in Hollywood. Kanye West talking about, I sold my soul to the devil like for a Happy Meal. And I know Elon joked about, Elon, you're such an inspiring person. Who inspires you? Kanye West. I mean, Elon is a really funny guy. So I would think that at some point in my human experience, I'm gonna see him face to face. And even if I don't, I get to watch him on my big screen TV and just marvel at how, not just Elon, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and Warren Buffett and all the people doing all the different things. There are documentaries on my channel, like TruthStream Media did The Minds of Men, a powerful documentary on the MK Ultra brainwashing of humanity and all the different activities involving that. And what we can see and what's determined or called predictive programming is pretty much like this. There's a pre-placed programming that's intentionally inserted in humanity. And so in the entertainment, let me do, in the entertainment, it's programming. And when we watch the news, it's programming. It's all programming, including the Bible, including listening to the Bible. So like what I'll do, I'm gonna open this up for just a moment. Let's see, what do I have here? Oh, electrically operated. Let me see if you can hear this. See if you can hear the heartbeat. So this is called Jocko withering. You can see that. And it was have you ever sat with somebody that was dying? Have you ever looked at somebody who died? I did. I was resuscitated. I was on pharmaceuticals and I tried killing myself in 2005. It's a long time ago. I remember it like it was yesterday. I didn't want to live anymore. Really bad. And the medications had so contaminated my perspective that I had had enough and I just wanted to go to heaven. Well, God had other plans for me. So I believe that new life in Christ set me free from a life of self-effort and self-satisfaction, trying to please myself. Now, rather than trying to please myself or please others, I just live a life to obey God and please Him. As a result, He gives me the reward for that. So there are probably people watching that I've never met before, face to face. And then there will be others that will watch because of my activity with ordering the Cybertruck. Yeah, I'd like to have it. I seriously would. I would like to travel all around and I would like to see the majority of the electrification of the transportation system. I'd like to help make that happen. I would like to have fortified steel reinforced concrete construction that can withstand the natural or the disasters that happen. Some of them aren't exactly only natural when you've got systems that create modified weather and we've got hurricanes and droughts and all of that. So in the context of the powerhouse, what I would say is you could have the steel reinforced concrete construction. It's about half the energy to climate control. It could be covered by solar panels to pick up the energy. It would be perfect, like a pyramid. I'm not an Illuminati infiltrator or plant. I'm saying that type of. I would like the Cybertruck kind of design motif to go in the house too, because it would be extremely strong. It's a steel reinforced wire panel that's shotcreted. You take the same thing that they make swimming pools out of and you shoot concrete on the house and then cover it with solar panels, charge up the power system in the house, the lithium batteries or whatever. Maybe there's a less expensive battery electrolyte that you don't have to have it small and compact and lightweight like the new Maxwell systems that Tesla purchased. Maybe a big body of water that's got some chemicals in it would store energy. How about if you had a lightning rod on top of the house that you could launch a wire rocket, a rocket with a thin wire to ground it out and send it right into the ground? Maybe you've seen some of that. They use a model rocket to launch the wire that's grounded to the earth and it'll pick up a lightning strike like that. Did you know I was hit by lightning? Right out where I was, I had the meeting with the Google exec, not at the same time. On my channel, it was called Struck by Lightning, if you want to look at it. I got hit by lightning and so did the fishermen that were out there. There were 5 of them. And then last year there was another one that came with them. We could all been killed. It was one of the sons. You can see these guys catching fish and it was shaking the ground and it was amazing. And I was holding my Tommy Bahama lightning rod that was disguised as an umbrella and I was bare feet on the wet sand, but I had a computer, a smartphone, and a Nikon P900 camera. Cracked the glass on my phone when I got hit by lightning there. I felt it. I didn't feel much of it, but I could have been killed. Like that music that I was playing where you can hear the heart monitor. Maybe you couldn't hear it there, but it flatlined. It's a winsome song, and I remember I've sat with a few people that have died. The one most memorable was my mother, and it was sad, of course. but she had got to a point where she broke a rib when she sneezed. That's how bad that cancer had destroyed her body. So there's systems of contamination of humanity, but it's not just the contaminants like a biological. It's also deception that goes in the eyes, goes in the ears, and it's what the mind remembers and replays. Like Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks about how do you break out of that? How do you break out of a cycle of thinking about things a certain way, living in the past? How do you break out of that? He's on my channel. He's on my channel. There's neuroplasticity as the renewing of the mind. It happened with me. Because I put the high-powered nutrients in my body in the clear water, when I jump in the water and it's all hot, I'll heat up 10 gallons on the stove to warm up 15 in the tub. The water goes into the skin and it goes into the muscles and it passes through the blood-brain barrier and it decalcifies the crap out of whatever junk was in my brain from the things that I've done in the past to abuse this body of mine. Yeah. So that's why I tell people about this. You know, I talk to Logan Paul. I'll show you the jug, the same jug. So at the conference in Denver, Colorado, I said, Logan, do you believe Jesus turned water into wine? He said, I don't know. I said, well, I believe he did, and I know he turned whiskey into water for me. This is a Crown Royal bottle, but I like purified water so much better than alcohol. It's like I don't even have an appetite for it anymore. And I'm not campaigning for everybody to stop doing this or that. I would simply say, as I delight myself in the Lord, in all my ways acknowledge him, he gives me the desires of my heart. He puts them there. So I get to do what I want because he put that want to do what he created me to do. So I know I've picked up a few more friends recently. That because I'm normally at my friend limit, that means some have gone away. And that's part of the rotation. That's part of how that works out. And, you know, it was so funny. I got a call, somebody trying to help me to have zero interest on my credit cards. And I said, well, he said, how much debt do you have? I said, about $20,000. And I said, but I'm not paying interest on any of it right now. And he referred me to some other guy, and it was so funny. I said, well, I'm at zero interest on about 20K. And he said, then why in the F do you have me on the phone? Imagine this. I had a telemarketer drop the F-bomb on me today, this afternoon. I said, well, I'm trying to help you. And he didn't want to hear whatever else I had to say. What I was going to say is I wanted to help you to understand that I'm not going to be at zero interest forever. That's going to go up this summer on some of them. So I'm okay on my bills. I don't know how God is going to work all this out. I'm actually living longer than I anticipated doing what I'm doing. If you scroll through my channel and take a look at the content there, you can see that there are some powers in some high places that would be concerned with what I'm doing. The fact that I'm very, very public with my shirt and my presence and going places with the Truth Mobile, as you can see on my profile, it's going to be an interaction with a lot of other people. And that was, you know, when I, like for example, the Lexus gets only about 20 miles per gallon. Wow, if I had a Tesla, I don't have to wait for a Cybertruck. I saw an X 2018, a Tesla X, Model X with the gull wings on it over on down at the Hyatt Buick in Myrtle Beach, and they were getting it ready to present, and it's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. So I want to test drive it. It would be the first time I got in a Tesla. I want to see how it feels. Everything that I've seen, the fit and finish looks spectacular. There's a level of excellence there that is mind-blowing. When I watch the Gigafactory operate and the way that the system works, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I'm not opposed to having a machine do a job better than a person. Even when it comes to autonomous truck driving, that's a tough job and away from the family for a lot. In my travels, like when I would go to conferences, I may spend $800 to drive to a conference, but I wanted to have my living accommodations be with me when I got there, because it can cost another $500 to $800 to stay at a hotel. So I would get a little creative with my accommodations from time to time. Like the first conference, I had an inverter to make coffee and that, and I'm an improviser. I've got, because we have hurricanes and power outages here for sustained periods of time, like Hurricane Matthew, we were without power for days. That may not seem like a big deal, but it can ruin hundreds of dollars worth of food. Well, the Truthmobile, the Lexus, has an inverter and an additional deep cycle battery to operate my freezer, a freezer and a refrigerator to save the food from going. I liquefy fruits and vegetables and hemp hearts and chia seeds and apple cider vinegar to have super healthy nutrients, building blocks for the neurotransmitters that the brain operates on. It's truly amazing. It's truly amazing. Neuroplasticity is a renewing of the mind. So the fact that Elon is interested in Neuralink and wanting to help people operate better and to help them, I'm interested in that. I'm interested in saying, I understand there may be some benefit for some people in that. Now, the biggest benefit that I found is to go from being spiritually dead to being spiritually alive. And the renewing of the mind comes from the hearing the Word of God and actually being born again. Roughly 7 people per second transition. They don't have the human experience anymore. You know, I made a comment on the round table with Elon and the group that did a fabulous job of interviewing. And I admire Elon for the time he takes to invest into people to make a difference. And his mother, May, as a dietitian and just a wonderful lady, I mentioned that I wanted to hear more from her, and she'll be on next time in part 2. I'll add that to my channel. You know, the fact that she's had a strong emphasis on nutrition, and it's obvious by the way that they all look very healthy. They're eating right. They're making some really good choices, you know. And so the nutrition that we put in our bodies to nourish our physiology and our brains to make good choices, that's part of it. And then the information that we evaluate is also really important. So it's not just the deception that we hear from outside sources, let's say Big Brother or the New World Order or Satan whispering in our ear, so to speak. It can also be things that we think about that are not really true. When I look in the mirror now, I'm not the guy that I was. So when somebody wants to lay a big bag of, man, you should be ashamed for the sorry ass guy you used to be, it's like, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy anymore. So that's why I can look somebody straight in the eye and say, hey, you know what? I'm really enjoying this ride, even though it's difficult, even still. So There you go. Just so you know, even though comments are going up, I would have to have magnifying to see what they are. And I'm just doing this on a phone, so I'll take a look at the chat later. I hope it's been good. I've noticed quite a few comments. If you've got information you want me to know about, you can call me anytime. You can go ahead and put a hyperlink in a thread. I got a funny story to tell you. About 4 years ago, I asked our oldest son, David, I said, I would like to be able to communicate with people that I can't connect with on Facebook. I want to send them information. Can you show me how to copy and paste? I think it would be really helpful. And he said, Command C, Command V. I said, that's it? He said, yep. You just put it where you want it. And I said, this world will never be the same. And that is so true. I've never been the same because of it, because of what I find and am able to share. And other people's lives are changed because they've been sharing as well. Many of you know how to take a lot of information. If somebody just types the hashtag and Robert Forsch, you'll see a blistering digital bunch of activity that I've been involved in for a long time. So I heard Elon say, even when you die, your digital profile will go on. And I had believed that. Well, I had a couple of things happen. One of them is all my YouTube playlists. It's not like one playlist. Anytime I added to it by liking a video or somebody's video channel got taken down, or the video was removed or whatever, it changed the playlist. So there were tens of millions of them. It was wiped out. I mean, I could see it, but I couldn't share it with people. And all those tens of millions of occurrences were unplugged. They were just made private. For a while, about 2 months ago, I had tens of millions of occurrences of that playlist that was in my photo album of over 2,800 photos on my Facebook. And that was deactivated. Some of the photos and videos are in some content that's been seen millions of times. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I didn't see this coming. I had messed up my life so bad, I thought, you know what? I'm just looking forward to when this is over, because it's been really tough. And it has been really tough. And what I would like to tell you is, out of the crucible of adversity, character is formed. How about that? How about that? I want to go back to the powerhouse again. So we've got the steel reinforced concrete solar operating house, and for climate control, you can have a geothermal heat exchanger. That means you draw the cool, balanced 65 or so degree temperature out of the ground and circulate it through the air with an air handler. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. So when I was thinking about having like a compound somebody could put together, I see it different than that. I see it almost like a smart city, where it's, or not necessarily a city, a smart home, a power home, a Tesla, maybe a Tesla home. Maybe Elon wants to build homes that take a fraction of the energy to operate, climate control and all the accoutrements that you would ever want. The other thing about the concrete is 5G apparently won't go through it as much. But from what I understand, the LED lighting and a lot of what comes through the power system is now going to be distributing some information as well. It may have been happening all along. I don't know how to prove to you it's happening now. It's just that there's going to be a whole lot more people getting data through their smart devices faster. And how that's going to be delivered, there may be something I don't know. and I may have already mentioned some of how it's actually working. So there you go. Wow. I don't even know how long this has gone. It's been good. I think I covered a whole lot that I needed to. I appreciate your public and private encouragement. Like I say, you can call anytime. It doesn't have to be a crisis. It could be just, hey, how you doing? I just wanted to talk to you. So I get that too. I get that too. Now, just a reminder, let me, it's been a pretty long haul for tonight, but I'm gonna, let me, there you go. Matt, look at that shining off of there. Picking up all kinds of energy. I don't even know if the tops of those have solar on them. I would think they should, but anyway, that's part of the balancing out of the power distribution. Yeah, so you can balance out the generation. It's brilliant. So part of what I want to say is I learned from information like this. Look at that. Would you look at that? Beautiful. Oh, I want to. Oh, let's see this. This is awesome. Man, does he have a sense of humor or what? Hey, I want to show you somebody I didn't show you before. Her name is Pearl. I'm going to creep up on her. She's a little elf kitty. These are Sphinx kitties. We've got 5 of them. Hey, Pearl. You're worldwide, baby. Right now. Check it out. Yep. They are funny. So this has been really interesting. How about that? Hey, I want to show you that technology I was talking about earlier. Let me flip this around. So I heat up the water on the stove. Here's the structure above, the firmament there, the molten glass. And here is the system right there. I store up the water, and it's reverse osmosis. I met Jack and Robert Slovak that designed this biomimicry. A seabird uses that technology of drinking salt water and spitting up salt brine. Yeah, see this little tank right there is only a couple of gallons, but I've got a dozen of these, and that's how I do that. So that's part of the improvisation. What I wanted to do is live a life of perpetual detoxifying. It's not like a one-time thing, it's a lifestyle. Putting the good stuff in, keeping the bad stuff out. That works for me. So there you go. This is Robert Forsch with the truth. And I'm gonna, there's another, something that I wanted to tell you here. If, Elon, if you're watching now, feel free to call me anytime. You may not be watching live. I do believe that because of my more recent activity that I wanted to let you know that I would make my services available. I know you're a busy guy, your team is busy. I wouldn't want to waste your time at all. So it may be a phone call. The concept of reducing the energy consumption on a household so that it can be diverted into a vehicle to provide the transportation. So homes that are, let's say, in a disaster, I've got friends that were affected by the wildfires in California and in Australia. I've got friends all over this world. I would like to, I mean, if we had a wildfire here, this place would burn up just like that. I've got big trees all behind me here. Oh, hi, Pearl. Come here, baby. Yeah, how are you? Yeah, she's adorable. They all are. Hey, so what I wanted to say is that if a household can drastically reduce their energy consumption, then it doesn't need to be made. The highest draw on the electrical system, as far as I know, is like air conditioning, refrigeration. Whoops, she fell. I caught her. So what I was going to say with that is that if a household's freezer is really efficient and it has a low energy draw, that works really good. What I did is I bought a little chest freezer that operates on a different system. It's not an automatic defrost. It doesn't freeze it and then thaw it out every day and freeze it again. It's just a freezer. If I wanna thaw it out, you know, if there's too much frost inside there, then I have to thaw it out maybe a couple times a year. So it greatly reduces the expense to keep that frozen. The benefit to that is my little inverter in my car could operate a freezer and a refrigerator. If it was an energy hog, it would have never worked. With the climate control using geothermal, the concept is like a water furnace. You stabilize the climate control in a house, drawing the more stable temperature from the earth. It's like 65 degrees down below this concrete slab. It would be nice to bring that cool up into the area that I'm living in, because in summer, in this home, we can have a $250 a month energy bill, and solar panels wouldn't make enough energy to, I mean, a huge array could, but not just a little panel on the house. Even with a power wall or a couple of batteries, it wouldn't do it. So the idea here is that if the energy consumption can be generated almost entirely green, and that capacity is there, and then instead of burning fossil fuels, you're basically an off-grid house. It could be. I know right now, if I had $250,000 to build a house in the country where I didn't have a homeowners association, I could have it completely off-grid. I would have no electric bill. I would have no water bill. I would pull the water out of the ground. I would have a septic tank. I would have an indoor garden that I would grow food. And yeah, I would do all that. And that can be done. So people can live off grid in a really nice way. So there you go. I'm always ready to go with this stuff. You could bring up the topic. I'm wondering, did I miss anything tonight? Let me ponder that. I think that'll do. I think that'll do for now. I noticed on the panel roundtable they were drinking out of glass, most of them. I don't know if you know this, but when a highly aggressive water like that, reverse osmosis, is sitting in the sun, or even if it's just put in an inexpensive plastic, estrogen mimicking chemicals can reduce the fertility rate for guys. Keeping a cell phone in your pocket, you're going to be cooking your buddies and end up with potentially mutant kids or grandkids. Wow. Yeah, so you might not want to be carrying your cell phone in your pocket next to your progenitors, your gonads. How about that? I never know quite what I'm going to say. That's kind of funny. But the idea is that the truth is almost like stranger than fiction. The wake up call that I got was serious. And part of how I got here, I just wanted to know how to do everything better. So the idea of using an electric car with solar panels and geothermal, for me, is 30 years old. I've known about it for that long ago. When I was a boy, like 10 years old, my dad took us to the Experimental Aircraft Association fly-in in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, the busiest airport for that week. So like more recently, when it was difficult to get a signal out of Virginia where there was a protest, a Second Amendment issue going on, one of the things people said was they're shutting it down so people can't get out. Now they can shut down cell communications in an area. That's for sure. One of the other, who are they? The system can. It doesn't need a person. We don't need Billy Bob to go over there and flip off a switch. AI can regulate the flow of information, cellular activity, and power distribution, and the public opinion, all of it. Well, anyway, when I was at the EAA 2 years ago, there were some times I couldn't go live on YouTube or Facebook because there was too much cellular activity. When you put 100,000 people in an area that's normally having very few or quite a few less, it changes that whole thing. So let's see, what else was there? I think that pretty well covers it. Let me flip this around. I want to hear it one more time. Okay, let's play that again. That was the other one I wanted. Or was it? So I know there's talk of disruption, and I believe the desire for the disruption is to make it better. That's what I'm all about. I want to help make it better. How about that? This is Robert Forsch with The Truth. The truth is I care. I care about people. I care about pets. I care about the world we live in. And most importantly, I care about doing what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. One of the most powerful verses that I think about is faith without works is dead. People have a lot of thoughts and a lot of beliefs. Does the behavior match? Do I do what I believe I'm supposed to do? Yeah, most of the time. That's how I roll. Why would I do it any different? I get the biggest payoff for doing what I'm supposed to do. That's the reward system. Yeah, so there you go. That's how it is. Thanks so much.